Okay. Hello, everyone. Our group is going to be representing about organizational culture. Our group members are Ahmad Payam, me, Abdullah Danish, George Lewis, Halim Adi Wijaya, Leony Cahyadi, Natasha Grace Etsuko. Next slide, please. What is organizational culture? Organizations have values, beliefs, assumptions, and norms that govern how members behave. We call these expectations the organizational culture. Every organization has a culture that, depending on its strength, can have a considerable influence on the attitudes of and behavior of organization members. So we can say it is a system of shared meaning held by members of an organization. Next slide, please. Organizational characteristics. There are 6 primary characteristics which depicts an organizational culture. Number 1, adaptability, a degree to which employees are encouraged to be innovative and flexible as well as to take risks and experiment. Number 2, detail orientation, the degree to which employees are expected to exhibit precision and analysis and attention to details. Number 3, outcome orientation, the degree to which management focuses on results rather than on the techniques and process used to achieve them. Number 4, customer orientation, which management decisions consider the effect of outcomes on people within and outside of the organization. Number 5, team orientation, the degree to which work activities are organized around teams rather than individuals. Number 6, integrity, the degree to which people exhibit integrity and high ethical standards in their work. Next slide, please. Organizational culture type. Cultural framework groups organizations into one of the 4 types. Number 1, the clan, a culture based on human affiliation. Employees value attachment, collaboration, trust, and support. The adhocracy, a culture based on change. Employees value growth, variety, attention to details, motivation, and autonomy. Number 3, the market, a culture based on achievement. Employees value communication, competence, and competition. Number 4, the hierarchy, a culture based on stability. Employees value communication, formalization, and routine. Next slide, please. Contrasting organizational culture. For example, in organization A, manager is expected to document all the decisions and provide detailed data to support their recommendations. The ideas that put the organization at risk is not encouraged. Failure will be penalized. There are extensive rules and regulations, and employees are required to follow them. Managers supervise employees closely. Employees must minimize contact with other employees outside of their job area. Rewards are based on individual efforts. Seniority is the main factor to salary raise and promotions. Organization B, managers are encouraged to take risk and bring change based on rational ideas. Failure is perceived as a learning experience. There are few rules and regulations for employees to follow. Its supervision is loose, and managers believe in the employees that they are hardworking and trustworthy. Job activities are designed around work teams, individuals, and teams have goals, and bonuses are based on achievement of those outcomes. Next slide, please. Dominant culture and subculture. Dominant culture expresses the core values shared by the majority of organizations' members. Subculture are mini cultures within an organization defined by department choice. Subcultures turn to develop in large organizations in response to common problems or experiences that a group of members face in the same department or location. Most large organizations have a dominant culture and numerous subcultures. Sometimes the subcultures can be so strong that they intangibly reject the official culture. Next slide, please. Strong versus weak culture. The strong culture is when the majority of employees have the same opinion about organization objectives and values. If the opinions vary widely, the culture is weak. In a strong cultures, organizations' values are shared widely, and more members accept the core values and strongly commit to them. The stronger the culture, the more employees know what is expected from them, which affect the organizational outcome. Next slide, please.
Okay, so I'll be explaining how employees learn culture. Mainly, the way employees learn culture is through stories, rituals, symbols, and language. Though there are many ways culture spread through people and through, stories, rituals, materials, symbols, and language. Because working in an organization means working under their culture, it brings the opportunity to learn culture from everywhere, especially when moving from organizations to another. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll be explaining the stories, rituals, symbols, and language. For stories, it is a way culture spread is by, one, stories. An example of such corporate stories is about the big brand we all know today as Nike, when they tell the story of the co-founder, Bill Bowerman, went to his workshop to pour rubber into his waffle iron in an attempt to create a better running shoe. What it's really trying to spread is the innovative spirit of Nike. Employees working within the organizations could even spread their own sides of story with their own experiences when first working for the organization, such as their first day on the job, first time interacting with it, whether they fit or not fit in the organizations. Next are rituals. The rituals are, in short, the way the organization does things, their way of working, which expresses and reinforces the key values of the organization, such as what goals are most important, while others chose to do non-traditional rituals to support their values and beliefs. Such examples are, and the first I've ever heard of, is from the Kimpton Hotel and Restaurant. Their way of maintaining its customer-oriented culture is through a tradition called the Housekeeping Olympics, which housed a strange yet interesting way of keeping the atmosphere playful and fun, such as blindfolded bed making and vacuum races. Symbols. Symbols could be of anything when it's within an organization. The small things count as well. Some people call them artifacts. And the way people see the symbols of such organizations could be many things. Could perhaps be the size of their offices, elegance of furnishing, attire, etc. And with that, such symbols convey who or what is important. An example would be the Texas Electric Company, Dynegy. Dynegy's headquarters doesn't look like a typical operation. There are very few to no individual offices, even for senior executives. The space is essentially made up of cubicles, common areas, and meeting rooms. This conveys to employees that Dynegy values openness, equality, creativity, and flexibility, while some organizations provide their top executives with chauffeur-driven transportation and a corporate jet. Other CEOs drive the company car themselves and travel in airlines, economy sections. These are symbols to employees that the organization values what is important to them and how it can be distinguished from other organizations. Lastly, are their languages. Within organizations, of course, they will have their own way of communicating, not through language per se, but more like how they convey information, such as a more common usage of acronyms and jargon that oftentimes new employees have difficulty catching up, but once taken into getting used to, will be treated as a common denominator to unite members of a given culture or subculture. Next.
So next is about creating and sustaining culture. So first we go through how a culture begins. Culture is created in three ways. To begin, founders hire and retain only workers who share their beliefs and values. Second, they socialize employees to their way of thinking and feeling. Finally, workers are encouraged to identify with the founders and internalize their views and attitudes and assumption as a result of their own actions. When a company succeeds, the characteristics of the founders get ingrained in the culture. So second is keeping culture alive. So once a culture is established, the organization's practices help to maintain it by providing employees with a set of similar experiences. The hiring process, performance evaluation criteria, training and development activities, and promotion processes guarantee that people employed are compatible with the culture, reward those who support it, and penalize those who do not. Next, please. Next is sustaining a culture. So basically, we go through three forces. So the first force is like selection. So it is the process to find and recruit people who have the necessary knowledge, skills, and ability to work well. The second force is top management. So top management activities have significant influence on the culture of the company. Senior leaders build standards that prevent the organization through their words and action. So the very last force, which is socialization. So new workers require assistance in adapting to the existing culture, regardless of how well the company accomplish in recruiting and selection. Socialization can assist relieve the difficulty that many employees express when their new positions are not what they expected. Next, please. So here we talk about the entries socialization options. So there are like 5 of them, and 5 of them are opposing the 5 others. So first of all, we talk about the formal one, which is a new employee is separated from the ongoing environment. So it's like when the newcomer will come, so they will be isolated from the old workers. So in the informal way, the newcomers puts like they put the new employee right into the work with little and no training. So this is the formal way. And also we have the individual. So where new members can be socialized individually. So this describes that how it is done in many professional offices. So they will get trained individually, but also we have the collective one. So the collective one is they can be grouped together and processed through a similar set of experiences. So they get trained in a group. So the other one is fixed one. So a fixed schedule establishes stages of transition for newcomers. So for example, they will be given, for example, 10 years or 8 years after they get promotion or something like. The schedule is fixed. For the other one is variable. So the variable one is like the transition is not fixed. So they uh, establish for example, whenever they see that they are ready for the next level, so they get promoted. And also we have the serial one, which is which the socialization is characterized by the use of the role models who train and encourage the newcomer. And the one which is opposing it is random. So role models are avoided in random socialization. So new employees are left to sort things out of their own. So they don't get any help. So they have to sort everything by their own selves. So also we have invest to teacher. So this socialization believes that the newcomers quality and qualifications are required for job success. So therefore they are enforced and encouraged. So whenever the newcomers come, so they think that they don't need to bring any changes to them. So they promote and encourage them. So also we have divestiture, so which is the socialization, which attempts to remove the specific qualities of the recruit, and also the fraternity and sorority pledges go through this socialization to mold them into the appropriate role. So whenever the newcomers come, so they are like changing their specific qualities, and also they train them so that they learn the new qualities. Next, please.
So what do culture do? Here are the functions of culture. First is creating distinctions within organizations. It conveys a sense of identity for organization members. It also facilitates commitment to something larger than individual self-interest, and it also enhances the stability of the social system. So what culture do is culture creates climates. This refers to shared perceptions that organizational members have about their organization's policies, procedures, and practices. Climate influences the habits that people adopt. With a positive workplace climate, it has been linked to higher customer satisfaction and also organizational financial performance. Ethical dimensions of culture. An ethical climate is a powerful influence on the way its individual members feel they should behave, so much so that researchers have been able to predict organizational outcomes. Ethical climates are heavily influenced by the values and beliefs leaders hold about ethical behavior, as well as the collective sense of identity people forge around their shared ethics. And culture and innovation. The most innovative companies are often characterized by their open, unconventional, collaborative, vision-driven, accelerating cultures. An example would be startup firms often have innovative cultures because they are usually small, agile, and focused on growing problems to survive and grow. So in the end, a strong culture ensures that employees will act in a relatively uniform and predictable way.
Influencing organization culture. So to influence organization culture can be divided into three categories, which are ethical culture, positive culture, and spiritual culture. Next slide, please. For ethical culture, developing it in the company can be done by following these principles. First, be a visible role model. Even if someone is not from the top management, they can still be a role model, which the company might reward for his or her deeds. Secondly, communicate ethical expectations. Make the company's code of ethics well known by everyone in the company. Then provide ethical training, which can be seminars, workshops, etc., to reinforce the company ethical rules and familiarize the employees with it. And then visibly reward ethical acts and punish unethical ones. Just as how law works, reward and punishment are necessary to make people within the organization to follow the company's ethics. And then lastly, provide protective mechanism to help people within the company to report unethical behavior this, uh, by discreetly to prevent hate and retaliation. Next slide, please. Positive culture. Positive culture in the organization can be achieved by building on employee strengths. Because each human is different in strength and weakness, the company must encourage its people to use the most of their strengths or nurturing it so they do the best they can within the organization. Secondly, rewarding more than punishing. While punishment is necessary, rewarding employee is the most effective way to motivate them to be positive and perform better. And then encouraging vitality and growth. Similar to building employee strengths, this is done to encourage them to gain more skills and make the most out of people's talents. Next slide, please. Spirituality culture. Uh, Spirituality definition. It is a belief that people try to find meaning in their work and also desire to communicate with others as a part of a community. And then the importance of spirituality. Why it is important? Firstly, because people have emotions. Therefore, the ideal image of organization running perfect efficiency or effectiveness without emotion is impossible. Secondly, many people have jobs which make the workplace dominant in their lives. Therefore, many people try to align their values, ideals, and meaning in their work. And then alleviating stress of the pace of life, because urban lifestyle creates distance between people. Therefore, spirituality can give a sense of community between the people. Spiritual organization. The characteristic of organization with spiritual culture is benevolence, in which organization put importance on kindness upon every member of the organization. Secondly, sense of purpose. They advertise a great vision and meaningful purpose. And then they also advertise trust and respect, open-mindedness, in which they value creativity greatly. And then how to achieve spirituality within the company. First, the company can respect the work-life balance of employees, because often companies disregard the employees' quality time with their families and friends, which unmotivates them to do their job. Secondly, the leader can motivate sense of value and purpose within the employees, so they are motivated to do their job. And then thirdly, by counseling and seminar. Next slide, please.
The global context. So organizational culture is so powerful that it often transcends national boundaries, but that doesn't mean organizations should or could ignore local culture. Creating a multinational organizational culture can initiate strife between employees of traditionally competing countries. Example, when Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish, and Danish banks combined to form Nordea Bank AB, the stereotypes some employees held based on their country's historical relationships created tensions. Finland had originally been a colony of Sweden, and Norway had been a part of Denmark and then of Sweden. The fact that none of the employees had yet been born when their countries were colonies didn't matter. Complex alliance with Nordea formed along nationalistic lines. To bridge these gaps, Nordea employed storytelling to help employees identify with positive aspects of their shared geographical region. The organization reinforced the shared identity through press release, corporate correspondence, equal country representation in top management, and championing of shared values. Although the organizations continue to struggle with a multinational culture, the success it has enjoyed can be attributed to careful attention to national differences. I think that's all from our group presentation. Thank you for listening.